Hey, it's Nay, and welcome to Hey Nay. So the topic for this episode is unavailable in dating, and essentially what I'll be talking about is about when the person you are interested in is unavailable, and unavailable could mean that you know, um, it they're just not within reach. So maybe the person you're interested in lives very, very far away, and the two of you weren't able to make that connection yet. Um, Another possibility is just that they're going through a really rough time personally, and again, you haven't established that connection yet in which you being there would make sense. And lastly, and most commonly, I must say, is when the person you are interested already has a significant other. So first, I want to tackle the first one, which is, you know, the person being unavailable because they're not within reach. It's hard. It really is hard to deal with that type of that distance. Because I know we talk about long distance relationships, but it's different when you haven't even established a relationship yet. When you're probably just getting to know each other, or you had brief encounters, and now the two of you are separate. So I think it's something that's very, very hard to deal with, especially on an emotional level. But how do you deal with it? And say you reach out to that person. You reach out to that person occasionally. Um, and if it seems like they're making the same amount of effort um, in responding, then you keep those lines of communication constantly going. Then maybe you can establish a meetup point, and then you may start to meet up more often. And then who knows where it can go. Um, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay to be optimistic. I wouldn't say put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to that individual, but I would say keep an open mind about them. And if you're really interested in someone, they should know. They should be able to tell, um, especially if you're making efforts. So I would say continue to do that. Um, because the distance thing can always change. You know that. Everyone knows that. Some of us may think we're pretty stagnant in where we're at, but things can always change. We never know. And maybe not just for you, but maybe for the other person. So it's good to sort of keep those lines of communication going. In regard to the second part, you know, being unavailable because they're possibly going through some personal things. I know if someone has a lot of loss in their lives, it's very, very hard to try to establish a relationship with them, because they're going through a hard time, and you can't really relate. You probably don't even know, you know, um, the type of loss they've encountered. You may not even know um, specifically where the loss is derived from. But I think with that, you take it very, very cautiously. You do things that's very considerate and caring, but that are um, not necessarily suspicious, if you know what I mean. And I know that kind of sounds a little weird, but what I'm saying is that, you know, you can give a card, you can check in from time to time, with like a text or something, or even a call. Um, but I would not do things frequently. Everything would need to be spread out. I would also, let them know that you're available, that you're there for them to talk whenever they want to. Um, and if you can relate, I would say, attempt to have that conversation at least once. I wouldn't recurringly bring it up, but I would try to bring it. And it doesn't even have to be like, some sort of human loss. It can be any type of loss, or even just any personal struggle. Some people might find that, they have some sort of disease or they're very ill, um, and they just sometimes they might need they need a moment to themselves, and it's hard for them to establish anything new. But I just say be patient. Be patient with them. People will come to terms with whatever situation they're in, um, and I believe that everyone will get through it. And um, if you're not in a rush, I highly just recommend just waiting it out. If you care about this person enough, um, you let them come through. If you can help in any way that is not overwhelming, I say do it. But I say just be patient. Let them know that you're there without actually always having to be there. I think that's perfect. Someone should quote that for real. Like, just say Nay said that because that was perfect. Anyway, the last one and most common one, as I said before, is unavailable in the sense that the person you're interested in is involved with someone else. This is something that is just, it's so funny because I've had various situations like this. But how I believe you deal with those type of situations is, the best thing to do is do you. Just do you. Just be who you are. Do not try to sabotage the relationship. Please do not do that. Do not encourage cheating. I would try to avoid that if possible. I know some people have a little bit of a struggle because you're really into the person and you're just like, why not? But you don't want them to be that way. You don't want them to cheat, because, if they cheat on the person they're with now, who says they won't cheat on you? Um, and I think again, it's sort of similar with the loss thing, in which you would be there for them, without always having to be there. That they know that they can reach out to you if they need to. But I would tread lightly because there is another person involved, and you don't want to cross those boundaries. You don't want to cross those boundaries at all. And with respect too. I don't think you would want anyone to um, push up on or sort of be trying to establish a more intimate relationship with a person that you're already with. You wouldn't want that. So why would you do that to someone else? Um, so I think that's important. Um, but there's a few things to keep in mind, as I'm going to say. Um, so first, sometimes sometimes that person will realize that the person that they're with is not actually the right person for them. They'll learn on their own. They'll figure it out. I do believe that. I believe that, um, women or men, whichever your case is, they we we know what we want. I always say this. We know what we want. We know who we are. And sometimes it takes us a little time to really realize it, but we'll come to terms with it soon. Sometimes people's goals and dreams don't align. Sometimes people, they just don't feel as compatible as they did before. Sometimes they realize that, I'm glad I was with that person, but that person not the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. So I think, people come to terms with that, especially if you feel some sort of reciprocity in which you feel like they are sort of have an interest in you, but they know that they can't necessarily do anything because they're still attached to someone else. Then I would definitely just be patient. Patience is a virtue, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. On the other hand, I also think, just treading through it in the sense that, you might realize that that's not the person for you, and that's happened to me. Somebody, there's been a couple of girls in which I have been very interested in, and they were with other people, and then I just realized that, what, that's not even the person I want to be with. That's not even. I think it was more of a crush than anything. I don't think it was any. I didn't like I really knew them at that point to make those judgments. you know, those girls have moved on. I think, one of them is single, but the other one seems in a very serious relationship. I think engaged, and that's great. I think that's good. I think that's really, really good, and I think it's important um, for that to happen in the sense that sometimes we need to wait because we may not necessarily know what we want yet. I mean, like I said, we know what we want, but sometimes we think we know what we want. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, I know who I really should probably be with, but right now I want this person. And that's the issue. So, we have to sort of be able to tell the difference. And I think people struggle with that, especially young adults. So, I said just be patient. Don't, ultimately, what I'm saying is that don't worry about the person that you're interested in being unavailable. It hits a little bit, it's a little bit sad in the beginning, but you realize that you are a great person and you have a lot to offer. Um, and that's, someone, a woman, or whoever, guy, for anyone else, will realize that. They will realize that, um, and they will treat you the way you should be treated. And that's all I have to say. I just wanted to do that topic because I think it's important for us to just talk about because it is a thing. And I definitely have experience with it. So thank you. That's all I really have to say. Like, share, love, um, subscribe. We need some subscriptions. It's been a minute. Come on. Help a brother out, all right? And remember to always start your day off with a hey. Goodbye.